It's the 17th of November, Rabbi Levitt, Gemora.
Okay, very good. Let's see. So we got to right before the Mishnah. We read it over, but maybe we'll do the last let's see, the last part. Which part do we need to do? Um yeah, let's just do the last we do the last one the last it's a Maisa right before the Mishnah on Chavdal and Amid base, which is the last two lines of the page. We'll start from Rabbi Yitzchak Nafcha. Rabbi Yitzchak Nafcha is 4 lines from the bottom, towards the end of the page, towards the end of the line, and the first word in the line is the Amrei.
Rabbi Yitzchak Nafka, Ashkach Hibura, he found coils of spun string. The Azle Bay Azluye, that the trappers used to make nets. Asa lekamei to Rav Yochanan. He came before Rav Yochanan. V'amrei le bevei mid rasha. Others say in the study hall. V'amru le, they said to him, Zil Shekol Lenaf Shech, go take them for yourself.
So what's the reason why he was able to take these things for himself? How come he was told that he can take it?
There's no sign, no semen.
Okay, let's see what Rashi says.
Okay, we're up to Ashkitse found these Kibore Da'azle Be Azlaya. These kind of these strings that were used by the trappers. Motza Pikiot Shell Tibea. I'm not quite sure what the Pikita is. Tibea is like the spun things. That's what Tibea, those things are spun. The Mecharot, to sell them, the Reshetot, that's nets. The Makom, in the place, Shehet Saidim, Matun, the place where the trappers are found.
Uh-huh.
What is the Pikiot? Paka?
I'm assuming that's the. I'm assuming this.
Let's go use the word coils, but whatever.
That's how they would keep the string. In other words, that's how we would store it and protect it. That's how it was arranged in pikios of these spun strings, and they were used. This string was used for machmarot and rishtot, for to make nets and traps. And Rashi sees a point of telling us that where was it found? It was found b'makom shatzayodin mitzuyin. It was found in a place where you got trappers over there, a lot of trappers. So presumably there's a large number of trappers over there.
Mhm.
It's like a place of makam sharabi mitzuyin sham, I guess. And that's already enough to invoke the din of Reb Shimon ben Elazar. That's really what I'm asking. If it's the case of makam sharabim mitzuyin sham, so then even if it would have a simon, then we would say it's harei elu shelo. That's what we see from Reb Shimon ben Elazar. But if it's not called a place that the rabbim is mitzuyin sham, so maybe it's because, like Lou said, that because it doesn't have a simon. And I don't understand from Rashi that I'm not sure what he. It seems like he's saying he's pointing out that it's that the reason that the din is the way it is because it was a makom sayodim mitzuyin. It was found in a place where you have many other trappers trapping in that place. So it's the same type of stuff that all of these trappers have with them. So maybe in a place in a public area, other area where you don't have a whole lot of trappers, the fact that it's this type of a string, it's something a trapper could come and say, I'm a trapper. I left it over here. Maybe that would be good enough. But over here, they're all trappers. They can't say I'm a trapper. I left this string over here. Everybody over here is a trapper. Everybody's got string like that. Okay. There's another Rashi actually.
It's almost the same thing. The Azle.
Azle Azluye.
Azlue is citing that's the traps. Osim. They're made.
Yeah, they Rashi says Sayadim ha'osim machmarot. Aha. Okay, so they're the trappers that trap that make these machmarot. The machmarot are the traps. Okay, fine. Okay, with that we get up to the Mishnah. So, Lou, would you like to read the words of the Mishnah? Or you already read the...
Let's see. Ve'elu chayiv lehachriz. These one is obligated to announce. Matzah peros bichli. He found produce in a vessel. O kli kamos shehu, or a vessel just as it is. Maos bechis, coins in a purse. O kis kamos shehu, or just the purse as it is. Tziburei peiros, piles of produce. Tziburei maos, piles of coins. Shalosha mat baos ze al gav ze. 3 coins, one upon the other. Kirichos birishus hayachid. Small sheaves in a private domain. The chikaros shel bal habayis, or loaves of a householder. The gizeh temer halekuchin mibeis ha'uman, or fleeces of wool taken from the craftsman's shop. Kadei yayin, jugs of wine. The chadei shemen, or jugs of oil. Hare elu chayav lahachris. These are obligated to be announced.
Oh boy. I swallowed something. I don't know what.
You got water?
Okay. Yeah. Okay, fine. All right. Okay, so this is the companion Mishnah to the Mishnah on Chaf Aleph, Amud Aleph. In the Mishnah on Chaf Aleph that we had a few pages back, we learned all of the cases where the din was Harei Elu Shalo. In regard to these different cases, and now we're learning how all these cases have a case where you're Hayav L'Hachris. Okay, so that would be all right. Let's see the Rashi over here.
Okay, Rashi starts on the other page, the bottom. Motzah perot b'kli, he finds perot, fruits in a vessel. V'stam kli yesh bo siman, and a regular vessel does have some sort of siman that you can recognize, and that you should say it's mine, that he should have to announce it. And then the next phrase is kamot shehu, in any amount, and that is raycon, that they should be empty. When a keys is the purse, it also claims yesh bo siman lavalim. The owners do have a siman on their purse. And Siburi perot, like piles of fruit. The Gemora mefaresh, and the Gemora will explain sheyigmu or minyan or makom. Now the last one is that you either have from that you have the number or the place where it is for what is a yimag.
Simnaihu, they're simon.
Oh, simnaihu, that's a nun, not a gimel.
The Gemara before simnaihu. The Gemara is going to explain
they're simon. What the
oh, minyan. Oh, makom. Either it's going to be the minyan or the makom.
Right.
So if you take a look on Chaf Aleph, where we had the corresponding mission over here, Chaf Aleph Amid Aleph, started off the parak, El Mitzias Shalo, the Elu Metzia is Chayv Lahakris. So the first Mishnah over on Chaf Aleph, Amid Aleph, described all sorts of cases where the din is going to be Harei Elu Shalom. So, for example, it says Perus that are Mefuzarot, or most Mefuzarot. You just scattered Perus, scattered most. Those things have no siman, so the din will be over there, Harei Elu Shalom. But now, our Mishnah is describing the very same types of items, but they're going to be Chayv Lahachris because the item was found in a kli which has an identifying siman. And then the Mishnah says for that part you could if he lost the kli itself, the kli itself, since it has identifying siman, it doesn't need to have anything in it in order to be have an obligation to be machriz, to announce it. Okay. Okay, so that's the Mishnah.
There's one more thing on the next
One
page.
more, right? Yeah,
We turn to
Shlosha Matbeot.
And there are three coins though. Zu, Al Gozi, one on top of that, one on top of the other. And it just says the Gemora Meferesh Shimon, the Gemora will explain the siman of that, putting three on top of the other.
Right. Okay. Okay, so we're ready for the Gemara. Ready for the Gemara. Roy, you want to read the Gemara on Chaf Hey? But before we do that, we have to have a round of applause for Chaf Dalet Amid Beis. Hooray!
All right. The upscroll prefaces the Gemara with the first two examples given by the Mishnah of fines that need to be announced are produce in a vessel and coins in a purse. The Gemara draws an inference from these. Now the Gemara. Ta'ama, the reason that one must announce the entire fine is Demotza, the Yeros, Babali, Umaos, Bahim, because the reason he must announce the entire find is because he found the produce in a vessel and the coins in a purse. Here, Koli, Ulafonov, Viros. But if he found a vessel with produce in front of it, Kis Ulafonov Maos, or a purse with coins in front of it, Array Elo Shalu. These produce the produce and the money belong to the finder. And then it says, on the basis of this inference, the Gemara corroborates the rulings of the vice versa. But anyway, that's the first bit. Are we recording? Yes.
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 Yes, we are.
Okay. Okay, so time of the matzah peros bekli umos bekis. Ha kli ulafonov peros, kis ulafonov mos. That's not good enough. Right? Elu shalom. The peros and the kli, they got to be in the kis. They got to be in the kli. Then because then we say the din is chayv lahakris. But if you just have the kli in behind the peros or in front of the peros, and the same thing with the keys and the money, so then we don't see. Then the din is hari elu shalom. And Rashi's going to explain this over here. What's the reasoning behind the difference in these two dinim? Between if you found it inside the kli or the keys, or you found it in front of the kli or the keys. So we got two Rashis. We got time in the matzah, and we got the one after that, the ha-kli ulefan of Paris.
Okay. So the first one is Taima the matzah. The reason is because he found it, and so on. Chasam, there, who he the Omar that says Haperit Labal Hakli, that the Peros belongs to the owner of the vessel. So I guess in that case, once he can identify his vessel, then he gets the Peros that's inside it, because that's my vessel.
Right. We make a connection between the peros and the kli. We say, oh, the peros are owned by the one that owns the kli. So if the one that owns the kli, he can identify it. So then the peros are his as well.
And it says who the next Rashi though the kli, but here's the vessel it's in. Who lifanav is the peros, but the peros are in the vessel; they're in front of it. Hari elo hapero shel hamotzan. Then therefore the perot belong to the finder, because he cannot say that it's his. The kli belongs to the guy, but not the peros. So he just finds peros. It's like free peros, and the finder can keep them. Even though Shakli Labal, even though that the Kli, I'll get to that, even though the Kli belongs to the owner, has Simon et Kli, that there is a Simon on the Kli, Yachzir, he returns it, the et Haperod, but so he does return the Kli, but the Perod, Ya'akevo are they're held back by him. V'lo omrin, and we don't say mehai mena fell, that from this thing that amount fell. You can't just say because it fell out of that kli. You're not allowed to make that jump. That therefore it fell in front, so it came from the kli, and therefore I get it. No, you can't say it automatically fell from that.
The finder doesn't need to, he doesn't need to say that. He doesn't need to say, oh, I need to return the peros. Also, because probably the peros fell from the kli. That's why they're sitting there in front of the kli. No, the finder doesn't need to do that. He can take the peros for himself, even though he has to return the kli to the one that gives him a siman on the kli. In other words, it sounds like he's got to be machris the kli. He's got to announce the kli. Okay. I was just thinking, what you got the same case, the type of case that we had before? What happens if the guy that owns the kli says, "Oh, but those were my peros. I had peros in the kli."
So return the peros.
He doesn't really have any proof of that, though, does he?
If there happens to be a simon in the peros, the way they're tied together, if they are tied together.
Who said they're tied together?
I said if they are tied together.
No, it doesn't say that.
I know, but
it just says that the peros are in front of the kli. That's what it says. Those are the facts. So the fact that they're in front of the kli, we don't say, oh, maybe we have to be worried that it fell from the kli, and in that case, we would have to give back the pairs to the guy as well, who gave us a siman on the kli. Unless he could give a separate siman on the pairs themselves, I don't know. But so far the facts of the case are that the reason that he's got to give back the pairs is because they're identified with the Baal HaKli. And the Baal HaKli, he's got a siman. He could give a siman for his Kli. So he'll take the Kli. If the pairs are inside the Kli, we say, oh, you got to give back the pairs. You can't take the pairs for yourself and give him the Kli. No, the pairs belong to him also. That's why they're in the Kli. But if they're in front of the Kli, then we don't have to say that there's any connection whatsoever between them. We don't have to give it back to him. I'm just asking after that, what if he claims to us that they are his pairs? So I would say he would need a siman. He would need a siman. If he could bring a siman that belong to him, then he could take it. But otherwise, just his claim that the pairs belong to him is not good enough. He's no different than anybody else in that regard. Okay. Okay, so now Lou is going to read weiter in the Gemora.
Gemora. Let's see. We're at Taima.
Okay, you could start there and keep going.
Okay, the reason. Dematza peiros bichli umaos bikis. Because he found produce in a vessel and coins in a purse. Ha kli ule fanav peiros. But if he found a vessel with produce in front of it, kis ulefanav maos, or a purse with coins in front of it, hare elu shalo. We see these belong to him. These belong to the finder. He doesn't have to return them.
Yeah, the peros and the mos, he doesn't have to return.
Right, but the kli and the purse he does.
Okay, so that's what we said so far. Gemora made an inference from the Mishnah that should be the din. Now we go further let's go further in the Gemora. Tanina. Do you want to continue? Lou.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought Ray was going to read. All right. Tanina lahem laha tisanu rabbanan. We have learned in our Mishnah that which the rabbis taught in the following brisa. Matzah kli, if he found a vessel, ulefanav peiros, and there's produce in front of it. Kis ulefanav maos, a purse with coins in front of it. Hare elu shalo. We see these are his. These belong to the finder. Miktasan bichli. If some of the produce was in the vessel, umiktasan al gabe karka, and some of it was lying on the ground, miktasan bakis, where some of the coins were in the purse, umiktasan al gabe karka, and some of them were lying nearby on the ground, Chayev lahakris. He's obligated to make an announcement.
He has to be, in other words, he has to make an announcement also in regard to the payros. Meaning to say, he's gonna. Okay. Let's see. Okay, so here we see a case where he is going to have to announce the payros. So he won't be able to take the payros for himself. For sure, he can't take the kli for himself because the kli has a simon. And the Gemora is now saying, to bring this brisa over here, that if some of the payros or the money was found inside and some was found outside the kli or the purse, then he's chayv lahachris. We don't say harei elu shelo in regard to the payros. And we have a Rashi over here, miksason bekli.
Miksason bekli. Some of it was, if part of it was in the kli. Hadavar mochiach. The thing proves it. The hinech, that this is the al gabe karka, that it's on the floor, that this who the chayav lachazirim, that he is chayav to return it. Lemi shir atain simon, to the one bekli, to the one who gives the simon on the kli. The chain ma'ot, and also for the money, leba'al haki, the owner of the purse. I mean, I guess once one is found there, it is close enough to be considered that it had to come from the kli. Once you find some, it kind of like puts them together.
Right. Here in this case, we say that the finder, he's obviously not allowed to take any of the payros that are in the kli, any of the money that's in the purse that we already learned in the Mishnah. But the question is on the remaining money and payros that are sitting on the ground next to this kli. So here we identify the payros and the money with the kli and the purse, because we say, oh, we see that the guy had money and payros in the kli and the purse. So this is probably what happened over here. Is probably some of it fell out, but some of it stayed in the kli. So like that, we have to give. We can't keep any of it. Can't keep any of it. Even the payros that are on the ground, we're not allowed to keep them and say, oh, they were just found in front of the kli. Just like we said before, found in front of the kli. That's not a proof of anything. We don't need to say that they fell from it. Here in this case, we need to say that they fell from it. That's what the Bryce is telling us. Okay. And now to the Raminu. Roy, would you like to read Raminu?
Okay. For Raminu, they pointed out a contradiction between this brisa and another brisa, which states, Matzah Rabbah She'in Bo Simon. If one found an object that does not have an identifying mark, B'tzad Rabbah She'ish Bo Simon. Next to an object that has a simon, a chayiv lehavrid. He is obligated to announce the entire find. Simon. If the one who provided the identifying mark came, the notal eshelo, and took the and took that which was his, but admitted that the unidentifiable object did not belong to him. Therefore, Hala Bedova Sha'ain Bo Simon. The other one, that is the finder, is entitled to the object that does not have an identifying mark. And the art scroll at any rate, the first ruling of the Brisa, which requires the finder to announce the unidentifiable object, contradicts the previous Brisa, which ruled that the finder may keep the unidentified produce or coins.
So he found something that does not have a simon next to something that does have a simon. So that sounds like the case that we just got through talking about. Money next to a kis, peros next to a kli, and here it says chayav lahachris. He's got to announce. He can't keep anything for himself. We inferred that he could keep the peros and the most that's on the ground next to the kli, in front of the kli. So that's a contradiction. Those are two. Sounds like a contradiction between the two brises. Now, what's this next case that it says? Bo bala simon notal es shelo. The one who owns the keys or owns the article, he gave a simon notel es shelo. He takes his thing. He takes his thing. Zocha hala b'davar she'ein bo simon. And this one will be zocha in the davar which does not have a simon. Oh, in other words, like this: if the owner of the vessel who gave the simon on the vessel, if he admits and says, oh, those things that are in front of the money that's in front of the vessel, I'm not taking that. It doesn't belong to me. The only thing that belongs to me is the purse. But the money, no, I didn't have any money in the purse. It's not my money. I'm not taking it. So in that case, the finder can keep it. B'davar she'ein bo simon. I don't know why Bryce is calling it davar she'ein bo simon, but I mean it doesn't have any simon if you don't say that it's connected to the keys, and the person who owned the keys says it's not connected. So okay, maybe that's what it means. So therefore, he could keep it. But otherwise, if the guy says, yeah, that money on the ground is also mine, we give it to him. That's what it says. Okay.
Okay, it's time.
Time. Okay. Everybody have a great day. All the best.
Thank you.
Okay,
Thank
see
you, Rabbi.
Bill.
See you tomorrow, Mr.
See you, Lou.
Ezrat
Yeah.
Hashem.
Okay.
Take care, Roy. Take care,
You
Phil.
Good day.
You too, Rabbi. Be well.
Yeah.